Ladies and gentlemen, our topic today is act like you don't want anyone's attention. And I promise you, by the time we're done, you'll understand why this concept is so powerful and how it can radically change your life. Now, you might be wondering, Dr. Joe, why would we want to act like we don't want attention? Isn't attention a good thing? And that's a great question. To answer it, we need to dive deep into the realms of neuroscience, quantum physics, and the very nature of consciousness itself. You see, when we're constantly seeking attention, we're operating from a place of lack. We're telling ourselves and the universe that we're not enough as we are. We're saying that we need external validation to feel worthy, to feel complete. But belief, that need for attention, is just that, a belief. It's a program running in our subconscious mind. And like any program, it can be changed. When we act like we don't want anyone's attention, we're actually reprogramming our subconscious mind. We're telling ourselves and the universe that we are complete, whole, and worthy just as we are. We're shifting our energy from a state of lack to a state of abundance. Now, let's talk about what happens in your brain when you're constantly seeking attention. When you're in that state, your brain is releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. You're in a constant state of fight or flight, always on edge, always wondering if you're being noticed, if you're being validated. This state of being is not conducive to growth, to creativity, to true self expression. But when you act like you don't want attention, something miraculous happens in your brain. You start to produce different neurotransmitters and hormones. Instead of stress hormones, you start producing more serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. These are the chemicals of well being, of joy, of connection. You're literally changing your brain chemistry by changing your behavior. And it doesn't stop there. When you act like you don't want attention, you're also changing your energy field. You see, quantum physics tells us that at our most fundamental level, we're not matter. We're energy. We're vibrating fields of possibility, and the frequency at which we vibrate determines what we attract into our lives. When you're constantly seeking attention, you're vibrating at a low frequency. You're in a state of neediness, of lack. And guess what? That's exactly what you'll attract more of into your life. But when you act like you don't want attention, when you know your own worth without needing external validation, you start vibrating at a much higher frequency. And that higher frequency attracts amazing things into your life: opportunities, relationships, experiences that are aligned with your highest self. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be completely free from the need for attention. Imagine what it would be like to move through your day completely at peace with yourself, not caring whether anyone notices you or not. How would that change the way you carry yourself? How would it change the energy you put out into the world? Open your eyes. That feeling you just experienced, that's your natural state of being. That's who you truly are beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the programs running in your subconscious mind telling you that you need attention to be worthy. When you start operating from that state of being, when you truly act like you don't want anyone's attention, you paradoxically become more magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who are self assured, who don't need constant validation. It's one of the beautiful ironies of the universe. Let's talk about what happens in your body when you make this shift. When you're constantly seeking attention, your body is in a state of chronic stress. Your muscles are tense, your breathing is shallow, your digestion is compromised. But when you act like you don't want attention, your body relaxes. Your muscles release their tension, your breathing becomes deep and rhythmic, your digestive system functions optimally. You're literally creating health in your body by changing your mental state. And it goes even deeper than that. You see, every cell in your body is listening to your thoughts. When you're constantly seeking attention, you're sending a message to your cells that you're not enough, that you're lacking. And your cells respond accordingly. But when you act like you don't want attention, when you know your own worth, you're sending a very different message to your cells. You're telling them that you're whole, complete, worthy, and your cells respond to that message too, functioning at their optimal level. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but Dr. Joe, I've been seeking attention my whole life. How can I just flip a switch and change that? And that's a great question. The answer lies in the plasticity of your brain. You see, your brain is not fixed. It's not hardwired. It's actually incredibly adaptable, constantly creating new neural connections based on your thoughts, your behaviors, your experiences. This is what we call neuroplasticity. And it's the key to making this shift from seeking attention to knowing your own worth. Every time you choose to act like you don't want attention, you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. You're literally rewiring your neural circuitry. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, unnatural. That's because you're going against years, maybe decades of conditioning. But each time you make that choice, each time you act from a place of self assurance rather than neediness, you're strengthening those new neural pathways. And here's the amazing thing, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's like building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Eventually, acting like you don't want attention becomes your default state. It becomes who you are, not something you have to consciously think about. Now, let's talk about how this shift affects your relationship with the quantum field. You see, quantum physics tells us that there's a field of infinite possibilities surrounding us at all times. This field contains all potential realities, all potential versions of you, and the version of reality you experience, the version of you that manifests, is determined by your consciousness, by your energy, by your vibration. When you're constantly seeking attention, you're vibrating at a frequency that's in alignment with lack, with neediness. And so that's the reality you experience. You attract situations and people that reinforce that need for attention. It becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. But when you act like you don't want attention, when you know your own worth, you're vibrating at a much higher frequency. You're in alignment with abundance, with self assurance, with inner peace. And so you start to attract a very different reality. You start to manifest experiences and relationships that reflect that inner state of being. It's like tuning a radio. When you're seeking attention, you're tuned to a station that's playing a song of lack, of neediness. But when you act like you don't want attention, you're tuning into a different station altogether. You're tuning into a frequency of abundance, of self worth, of inner peace. And the universe responds accordingly. Now, I want you to think about a time in your life when you felt completely at peace with yourself, when you weren't concerned about getting anyone's attention. Maybe it was while you were engrossed in a hobby you love, or while you were in nature, or during a moment of deep meditation. Can you recall how that felt? That feeling of complete self sufficiency, of being enough just as you are. That state of being is always available to you. It's not something you need to seek outside of yourself. It's your natural state. And when you act like you don't want attention, you're aligning yourself with that natural state. You're coming home to who you truly are. Let's talk about how this principle applies in your daily life. Think about your interactions with others. When you're seeking attention, you're always trying to impress, always trying to be seen, to be heard. Your energy is scattered, fragmented. But when you act like you don't want attention, you become fully present. You're able to truly listen, to truly connect with others. Paradoxically, this presence, this genuine connection, makes you far more memorable, far more impactful than any attention seeking behavior ever could. In your work life, acting like you don't want attention frees you to focus on excellence for its own sake. Instead of worrying about whether your boss notices your efforts or whether your colleagues are impressed by your achievements, you can pour all your energy into doing the best work possible. When you do this, when you focus on excellence rather than recognition, recognition inevitably follows. In your personal growth journey, this principle is transformative. When you're not seeking attention, you're free to take risks, to make mistakes, to learn and grow without fear of judgment. You're no longer held back by the fear of looking foolish or the need to appear perfect. This opens up incredible possibilities for growth and self-discovery. Now, I want to address a common misconception. Acting like you don't want attention doesn't mean becoming invisible or diminishing yourself. It's not about hiding your light. It's about shining your light so brightly, so authentically, that you don't need to draw attention to it. It's about being so secure in who you are that you don't need others to validate your worth. Think about the most truly impressive people you know. Chances are they're not the ones constantly seeking the spotlight. They're the ones who are quietly confident, who are focused on their own growth and on making a positive impact. They don't need to tell you how great they are. Their actions speak for themselves. When you act like you don't want attention, you become that kind of person. You become someone who's magnetic, not because you're trying to be, but because you're authentically yourself. You become someone who attracts opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are aligned with your highest self. Now, let's talk about the role of meditation in this process. When you meditate, you're training your brain to be present, to be in the now. You're learning to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. This skill is crucial when it comes to acting like you don't want attention. You see, the need for attention is often driven by thoughts and beliefs that run on autopilot in our subconscious mind. Thoughts like, I'm not enough, or I need others to validate my worth. Through meditation, you can learn to observe these thoughts without identifying with them. You can see them for what they are, just thoughts, not facts. As you continue to meditate, as you continue to observe these thoughts without getting caught up in them, something amazing happens. The thoughts begin to lose their power over you. You start to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind your thoughts. And from this place of awareness, you can choose different thoughts, different beliefs, different ways of being. This is where the real magic happens. Because once you realize that you have the power to choose your thoughts, to choose your beliefs, you realize that you have the power to choose your reality. You can choose to believe that you're worthy, that you're enough, that you don't need anyone's attention to validate your existence. And as you make this choice, as you embody this new way of being, your entire reality begins to shift. Your relationships improve because you're no longer coming from a place of neediness. Your work improves because you're focused on excellence rather than recognition. Your health improves because you're no longer in a constant state of stress and anxiety. But it goes even deeper than that. When you act like you don't want attention, when you know your own worth without needing external validation, you open yourself up to receiving guidance from a higher intelligence. You see, when you're constantly focused on getting attention, on impressing others, you're operating from your limited ego self. You're cut off from the infinite wisdom of the universe. But when you let go of that need for attention, when you quiet the chatter of the ego, you create space for something greater to come through. You become a conduit for universal intelligence. Ideas, inspirations, intuitions start to flow through you effortlessly. You start to experience synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to guide you towards your highest good. This is what it means to be in flow, to be in alignment with the universe. And it all starts with letting go of the need for attention, with knowing your own worth so deeply that you don't need anyone else to confirm it for you. Now, I want you to imagine what your life would look like if you fully embrace this way of being. Imagine moving through your day with a deep sense of inner peace, completely unbothered by whether people are noticing you or not. Imagine pursuing your passions with single-minded focus, not because you want recognition, but because you love what you do. Imagine connecting with others from a place of fullness rather than neediness, offering your gifts to the world not to get attention, but because you have so much to give. This is not just a fantasy. This is a real possibility for each and every one of you, but it requires a choice. It requires a commitment to let go of old patterns, old beliefs, old ways of being. It requires a willingness to step into the unknown, to be uncomfortable, to grow. The good news is, you don't have to make this shift all at once. You can start small. The next time you feel the urge to seek attention, to impress others, just pause, take a deep breath, remember your own inherent worth. Choose to act from a place of self-assurance rather than neediness. Each time you make this choice, you're rewiring your brain, you're shifting your energy, you're creating a new reality. And as you continue to make this choice, as you continue to act like you don't want attention, you'll start to notice changes in your life. You'll feel more peaceful, more centered. You'll attract people and opportunities that align with your highest self. You'll start to experience life in a whole new way. But here's the most important thing to remember. This journey is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the need for external validation. It's about coming home to your true self. You see, at your core, you're already complete, already worthy, already enough. You don't need anyone's attention to confirm this. It's the truth of who you are. When you act like you don't want attention, you're simply aligning yourself with this truth. You're letting your true self shine through. Now, I want to address something important. As you make this shift, as you start to act like you don't want attention, you might encounter resistance. This resistance might come from within old habits, old beliefs trying to reassert themselves, or it might come from others who are used to you seeking attention, who might be uncomfortable with this new version of you. This resistance is normal. It's a sign that you're growing, that you're changing. Don't let it discourage you. Instead, see it as an opportunity to practice this new way of being. When you encounter resistance, take a deep breath. Center yourself. Remember your own worth. Choose again to act from a place of self-assurance rather than neediness. As you continue on this journey, as you continue to act like you don't want attention, you'll start to notice something incredible. You'll start to feel a deep sense of freedom. Freedom from the opinions of others, freedom from the need for constant validation, freedom to be authentically, unapologetically yourself. And from this place of freedom, amazing things become possible. You become capable of creating in ways you never imagined. You become able to connect with others on a much deeper level. You become a force for positive change in the world. Today, when you're no longer consumed with getting attention for yourself, you free up an enormous amount of energy, energy that you can then direct towards your passions, towards making a difference, towards leaving the world a little better than you found it. By acting like you don't want attention, by knowing your own worth so deeply that you don't need external validation, you become someone truly worthy of attention. You become someone who inspires others, who makes a real impact, who leaves a lasting legacy. So I challenge you, starting today, to embrace this principle, to act like you don't want anyone's attention, to know your own worth so deeply that you don't need others to confirm it for you, to shine your light so brightly that you don't need to draw attention to it. Remember, this is not about becoming someone new. It's about revealing who you've always been. It's about letting your true self shine through. It's about coming home to the truth of who you are. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this thought. You are already complete. You are already worthy. You're already enough. You don't need anyone's attention to confirm this. It's the truth of who you are. When you act from this truth, when you embody this knowing, you become a powerful force for transformation in your own life and in the world. So go forth, shine your light, make your contribution to the world, not for attention, not for recognition, but because it's who you are, because it's what you're here to do. The world is waiting for the gift that only you can give. Thank you.